As the years go by, I need to finally admit to myself that in 2022, even though we had genre-defining games like Elden Ring, the weird and wonderful art piece that is Immortality, and a big budget blockbuster in God of War Ragnarok, my game of the year was the original Powerwash Simulator. I first played the base game in the summer of 2022 on PC, where I played it for 37 hours. Then in February 2023, when it came out on PS5, I played it again and got the Platinum, and I couldn't help myself, so again, I played the PS4 stack in the summer of that year. And then in the 2 years since then, I've went back every once in a while to clean up the DLC on both versions, which means that since I started using Backlogged in July 2022, the original is my most played game of all time. However, I do suspect that Platin was going to overtake it soon, and that's because the first game is now content complete and we've got a whole new sequel to play with over and over again. So let's fill up our tanks, put on our wash suit, and see what Powerwash Simulator 2 has to offer while we get the Platinum Trophy. And most importantly, we'll see how many hours I'm going to waste sitting at my console doing a virtual job. Our journey starts in the home base, where we quickly find and pet 3 cats for our first trophy. And then we use the new, slightly gimmicky job board to start our first level. So if you're somehow not aware of what Powerwash Simulator actually is, each level is either a vehicle, an object, or a whole building, and that thing will have dirt all over it. It's your job to clean the dirt off with your pressure washer, and as the game goes on, the levels get bigger, and your pressure washer gets more powerful. That is the whole game. The game is very long and tedious, so while I do enjoy it, it's very much a second screen game. And while playing Powerwash Simulator 2, I genuinely caught up on every podcast that I listened to, and I had to start a few new ones because I just needed some form of stimulation. I'll do a little podcast at the end of later on in the video, but for now let's just focus on the game. And you might be wondering why my gameplay looks like a rogue AI is playing, and I keep switching back and forth between the nozzles, and that is because I was not aware that the game has a new control scheme. So at this point I was genuinely incredibly disappointed because I was having to fight against 170 hours of muscle memory. However, thankfully you are able to change it back. And now I was back at my full power, so let's get cleaning. First off, I thought it was important to check out what's new with Powerwash 2. So if you hit circle, you can switch to a different power washer, and in the original game the upgrades were linear, but this time around we've got 2 different brands of power washers that we can upgrade. It's a bit like Monster Hunter. Now I honestly could not see a tangible difference between these two, however the red one is apparently more powerful, so I went with that and I stuck with it for the rest of the game. The cleaning liquid from the first game, which I never used, has been reworked into soap. You can spray it all over the dirt, and this means when you spray the soap with water, it does more than it would otherwise. Honestly, didn't really understand the point of this, and I was ready to just sack it off like the cleaning liquid, but it does come in handy later. However, even though I didn't find it that useful, it is obviously very satisfying. Now, I've already mentioned that the actual game here is quite boring and tedious, so I think if I made you guys watch a long video that's 99% just cleaning, I should have to delete my channel or something. So while I will be going into detail with my thoughts on the game and the experience of getting the Platinum, I'll be skipping through all the stuff in the middle, because let's be real, no one should be watching this as the main thing. After spending 18 minutes cleaning the van, we get a trophy for clearing our first level. We get a nice little time lapse and then we just go on to the next one. Here we have our first multi-stage level, because when we finish cleaning this little floor monument, it raises out the ground and it turns out we've actually been cleaning a toilet this whole time. Unfazed, I just got right back to work. And with the small amount of money we've got so far, I could buy the adaptable nozzle for this pressure washer. Each pressure washer has 4 different nozzles, with one being super powerful in a small area, another having a wide area but being weaker, and then 2 more in the middle. But the adaptable nozzle allows you to use L1 and R1 to change the size of your nozzle on the fly, and this feels so much better than using the vanilla ones that it makes me wonder why this is even an upgrade and not just like a core mechanic of the game and how the game actually works. Personally, I'm a yellow nozzle kind of guy, so I kept my adaptable nozzle quite wide, but when I needed to, I could shrink it down to blast away the mucky bits of grime and graffiti. After finishing level 2, we were sent back to the home base and I got a bunch of miscellaneous trophies while checking it out. First off, we had a look at some lore on the pinboard, we spent some of our cosmetic currency to paint our van, spent more on some new gloves, and we found the secret gnome behind the door. You'll notice that the home base is very empty, and that's because there's a little home decoration aspect to the game, where as you play you unlock furniture, and after cleaning it you're able to pick it up and place it anywhere you want. You end up getting a ton of pieces of furniture during the course of the game, but weirdly for the Platinum, you only need to clean one object. Other than the usual progression-based trophies, the majority of the other ones are just doing specific things in specific levels, and they're usually for cleaning something first or last. Like in this campsite level, we need to clean all the lanterns first. A huge improvement in this game is the stacking system. In the previous game, you could stack one object and it would vaguely glow when you look at it. Using this in large levels was almost pointless because you still need to look for the glow, but in this game, first off you can stack multiple items at the one time, but most importantly, it will tell you where they are with a little pop-up, which meant as we cleaned each lantern, it would point us to the next one. So we could then go on to finish the level. Another major addition to the sequel is that along with the ladders and upgraded scaffolding, when cleaning taller buildings, you can use a scissor lift to clean out all the hard to reach spots. And in this level, we're going to try and get the trophy for only using the adaptable nozzle the whole time. And it's only when looking back at this footage that I realise how long some of the levels are, because we started around 1 hour and 11 minutes into the game, and we finished it 1 hour and 20 minutes later. That's over half the playtime so far, and the length of some films. This game is long. Next up, we had to cover every item on this dog car with soap, which again made it very satisfying to clean off. At the start of the next level, we had enough of the actual currency to buy the next pressure washer. The upgrades aren't anything special, I think they're just like more powerful and they've got better range than the one before it. And the currency system in the game is kind of weird because there's a finite amount of money in the game and you can refund items for the exact price you sold them for, so this actually feels more like a skill point menu than an actual shop. Anyway, we refunded our old stuff and we got the level 2 washer with the adaptable nozzle. This level with the sign lets us use the new abseil device to more efficiently clean tall surfaces. We only end up using this 2 or 3 times throughout the rest of the game, but by completing an object while using it, we get a trophy. Next up, we have to put a gnome on a scissor lift and fully extend it, and then place all the gnomes in this level on these chairs so they can have a party. But before placing them, I had to make sure they were clean first. In the shooting gallery, we had to clean the Bigfoot first before finishing off the level. In the petrol station, we had to push a ball down the slide, which is much easier than in the first game because you can just pick it up if you want. This kind of feels like cheating, but it's okay. At the bandstand, we had to clean the hatch last, and we had to jump on all these stone pillars. We had to clean the pterodactyl first, and we also had to clean the disco ball first, which we actually failed because apparently the disco ball rod is not part of the disco ball. There was no way to reset the level in story mode, so after finishing this level, we had to load it up in free play and be much more careful about where we're shooting. However, before we restarted, we were able to get the final version of the pressure washer, which theoretically would make this level go a lot faster, and it only took me 2 hours. Thank God this was for cleaning it first and not cleaning it last. In the temple, we got an unmissable trophy because after cleaning the interior, the floor opens up and we head down there to blast the phone with soap and water to clean it. In the caravan job, we have to clean the satellite first. And before starting the motel, we could buy the double nozzle attachment, because there's a trophy for using this for a whole level. There's also a trophy for cleaning all doors, handles and numbers first in the motel, so we tried to get both at the same time. Just like with the disco ball, cleaning the doorstep will lock you out of the trophy. I also realised that this level was huge, and I really should just be doing this double nozzle trophy on a smaller level, or to make it easier, on a super early level in free play. So I guess at this point I was feeling sorry for myself, and I realised I had enough money to buy all the attachments for a light, medium and heavy washer, and we got a trophy for each of them. However, we don't have enough money to fully upgrade a professional washer yet, and for the platinum, we'll need to come back at the end of the game and buy every single upgrade at the one time anyway. After our 2 hours and 15 minute long level, we loaded it back up in free play and carefully cleaned the doors again. There's another weird currency decision here where your cosmetic and furniture currency caps out at 2,000 and you stop earning it after that point. However, even though I was at the cap, I had spent as much as I could on all the furniture, which technically unlocks like new levels and new things to clean, and I was still incredibly close to the cap, which meant I just had to start spending it on random colours I didn't want. I don't get why there's even a cap in the game. In the theatre, we had to clean the front seats first. At the fairground, we had to do a full loop of the roller coaster. In the planetarium, we had to clean the sun in the middle. And then every other planet in order. Order of the planets closest to the sun. Is the moon a planet? Why is the moon called the moon? ChatGPT, I believe that the earth is flat, can you please help me convince my family? I miss Pluto. Like I said, I should have obviously just done the double nozzle trophy on a super easy level, but I thought this level was just the perfect size for me to suffer on. If you get far away with it and use an extension, then it's actually quite powerful, but I just find it quite annoying when trying to hit specific bits. I had to spend some more power wash points because we're at the cap again, and I found out we had now unlocked new skins for a power washer. Very cool. Another new thing in this game that I haven't mentioned yet is the surface cleaner. We get a trophy for buying of the attachment for it, but it kind of sucks and I never used it, other than here where we have to clean a spinning floor disc with it. By getting a refund, we can now afford every attachment for the professional washer, and then I played some piano. With another smaller level in front of us, I bought the other professional power washer and the triple tip nozzle attachment, and just like the double nozzle, we have to finish this level only using that nozzle. In the shopping centre, which felt like one of the longest levels in the game, we had to clean this owl statue first. And in the town floats level, which has got 3 big floats, we need to clean all of them, but leave this little mouse sculpture for last. We're now on the final level, and the only trophies we've got left are to finish every level, and then use our money to buy every power washer. So now I'm just going to talk about my thoughts on the game. I really enjoyed the first one. It's kind of like it's just kind of like a good version of like a mind-numbing podcast game. And on the lead up to this game, I was actually going to make a standalone video about the DLC trophies, because back in like February, March time of this year, when everything felt scary because of, you know, like maybe a specific guy, I had this thing where I was just like constantly refreshing /r/world news and just seeing all the bad stuff that was going on, and then I kind of like majorly got in my head about it, and that's when I put in like 25 hours on the Powerwash Sim DLC, and I was going to make a video about how the game kind of helped me get out of that funk, but after playing this and kind of looking back at the 30 hours I've spent playing this, I don't actually think it helped, and I think it just kind of prolonged it and like took my mind off it. So I was thinking like the 30 hours I've played of this game, I could have put into like anything, and especially like the uploads on this channel have been few and far between the past few months, and honestly for the whole year I've not been at the level that I've wanted to be at. And I was like, you know, if I just spent this 30 hours editing videos, I could actually edit, like, you know, I could like do stuff. So I don't know what the difference in the mindset is between the first game and this one, because obviously, like I said, I do genuinely believe that first game, it was my game of the year that year. You know, like, not just the amount of time put in, but I like actually did enjoy it, and I enjoyed going through it multiple times. But with this one, I just kind of felt like quite empty. And like on my game of the year list this year, you would think it's a sequel to my previous game of the year, it will be high up, but I'm thinking it won't. I think it might be quite low. The game, like, to be objective and not take like emotion into it, the game is more of what the first game is, and like the mechanics work better. It's more forgiving when you've got like that last part of dirt you have to get. So the game technically, yeah, like it is a better game. I would say I don't think the levels are as good. I actually had more fun in the first one, but yeah, I just didn't enjoy this at all. And it was kind of, I feel like I've spoken this like 3 or 4 times this year, but it brought me back to this thing of like, why do we play games? Like, was this fun? Because I keep on saying like, I had to have other podcasts up to kind of play this game. Like, I can't imagine playing this on like the big telly, but it's like, you know, right now I've got GOTY sitting in front of me that I've not played yet, and it is a game that you could play on the big telly and like lose yourself. There's so many games that I've not played that would like, as like pieces of art, or just like, you know, like it's like food for the soul kind of thing. And I'm like, I think this was food for procrastination, and you know, we need games like this, I guess. You know, like that's what I'm saying. I don't think this game is like bad. I just think that these are not good for me. Like this kind of game, I just don't think I had fun with this. And you know, it is technically, I need to double check, but even just this year alone, it is one of my most played games. Yeah, it's like my four most played games of the year are Monster Hunter Wilds, which, you know, is like such a mechanically rich game. Death Stranding 2, which is like, you know, that was a game that I played on the telly the whole time. Like no distractions, just like that on its own. The Altars, which I loved, which is one of my favorite games of the year, and then Powerwash Sim 2. And I'm like looking at that 4 games. I will say I don't like Monster Hunter Wilds that much. But I do. It's like, I understand it as like a good game. But yeah, it's like looking at that list, I'm like, I don't think I like this anywhere near that 31 hour mark. So this was all just kind of unscripted, and I'm not like, I do want to reiterate that like, if you enjoy this game and you think it does help you in any way, like especially because I do think these could help with like mental health stuff, but I just don't think these are healthy for me to play, or like I don't actually, this game specifically, I don't play other things like it. Because it is on my trophy list, so when the DLC comes out, I will have to come back to it and clean that up. But I'm like, maybe I should do it in like little chunks, because I was thinking too, like I played this game in like 4 days, like that 30 hours was over 4 days, and I'm like, maybe I would have had more fun if I did it as like a game a day or something like that, you know. See, even I was just looking here, like on my game of the year list, it's next to Sword of the Sea. Sword of the Sea was like 3 hours long. I could have played a game like that 10 times in the time that I played Powerwash 2. So I don't want this to deter you, but I did not like it as much as I hoped I would. Especially because when it got announced, it was like one of my most anticipated games of the year, and now just it was especially editing the video and seeing how long some of the levels were. I was like, what was this for? I keep talking about the podcast, so it's like I could have done anything while listening to them. You know, I could have like went for a walk. I could have, you know, like I could have cleaned the actual house that I live in. I could have cleaned my desk that I sit at every day, but instead I spent 30 hours cleaning nothing just to get like dings and then on top of that, the PlayStation things. So maybe this is another metaphor for like, are Platinums good, or is the trophy system good? And maybe I'm kind of becoming disillusioned over the past year, but you know, we've got the bug. And I do think, to be fair, I do think you could say similar things about like Ball Pit this year and like, you know, Mega Bonk. I've not actually played that, but you know, that kind of thing where it's like, whenever people talk about it, they always go, oh yeah, it's like so good, it's so like stimulating, and the numbers go up and you can just like turn your brain off. And I'm like, is that what we should be celebrating? And I'm like, Ball Pit is my game of the year, but I'm like second guessing it now. I'm like, did I enjoy that, or did it make my, like, did it dopamine me, you know? But I'll get off my soapbox now, and I just wanted to point out, to take some kind of like positive thing of this video, I just want to talk about other podcasts I listen to, because some people have asked me before, like, how do you find out about games, and you know what, I mean, like, how do you like discover new things? So while playing this game, it was actually quite funny, because while editing it, I was looking at certain levels and remembering what podcast I was listening to while like doing that level. It's like so ingrained. So first off, Min-Max, I listen to them, I watch all their videos, I listen to them every week. They're good, like, positive discussions on new games, and you always like find something new. They do an amazingly long Game of the Year debate called the 210s, and it's like 8 hours long of just them arguing about what should make the top 20, or as they call it, the 210s. And that's always like, that's the best video of the year basically, and that'll be next month. So if you want a place to jump in at, then that's maybe the best point. Play Watch Listen is more like industry talk, but they do talk about new stuff as well. That one's just interesting because of the positions that they have, and it's been going on for like 5 years now. I also caught up on the Waffling podcast while playing this, which is obviously not a gaming podcast. You know, it's just like a genuinely like funny podcast. Like there's nothing to like talk about with this one.
Wow! Tell us again!
And funnily enough, one of the episodes that I listened to while I was playing this game was with a guy who like specialises in like social media addiction and like phone addiction and stuff like that. So while playing this game that is kind of like designed to tick those little boxes in your brain, I was listening to this guy talk about like how it's good to be in nature and get off your phone. So I don't know, that might be why I'm feeling this way. So those were the podcasts that I caught up on, and then I had nothing else to listen to, so I ended up listening to Into the Aether with Brendan Bigley, who I just found because he was on Min-Max. I think he just has like a nice vibe. I've only actually listened to one episode of the podcast, but I found his YouTube channel, his personal channel, and I just watched like all the videos on there. It's just kind of like a positive vibe on his channel, and I watched like his top 50 games of 2024, and I think that's quite a fun idea, and I think I might do it this year instead of doing like, you know, usually just do a top 10. It's like, why not just talk about like every single game that I played that came out this year. So that's Into the Aether and Brendan Bigley Wavelengths. And I was also wanting to watch friend of the channel Linkum, who does like, every month he does like a wrap up of what trophies he got, and he just kind of talks about each game that he played. But he hadn't uploaded in a while, so I ended up listening to his podcast Indie Quest, where it's him and two other people, and every week they just talk about a game they've played, and then they put it on the main quest or the side quest. So basically just saying, is this indie game like highly recommended, or maybe like if you like the idea of it you can play it. But they also say like every game they talk about on the show is a game that they at least like. You know, they're not going to talk about some random game and then put it on the side quest. It's like even the side quest games are worth playing. And I also did find out that the very first game they put on the main quest, and actually I think it might be the first game they spoke about, was Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is my favourite game of all time. So, you know, that's just, you have to love that. And I also wanted to quickly shout out the YouTube channel Gaming in the Wild. This is just like a general indie game podcast, and a lot of the videos also get clipped out into their own like bespoke YouTube videos. So that's a good way to consume the content and just like get the games into your like attention span, you know. So if you're looking for something to listen to, maybe while playing this game, you know, I do think the game is, I've got complicated thoughts on this game, and I feel like by when we get to next month, Game of the Year time, like starting next year, I'll hopefully have like walked through them and thought about how I actually feel about this game. But yeah, there's some podcast recommendations, and before I get the platinum and leave you, I just have to quickly make a TikTok for retention reasons, and then buy every washer and attachment at the same time. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.